Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. Only two games on this slate, Heat versus Nets and Thunder Warriors, so not the most action-packed slate in the world, but still quite a few takeaways I want to go over, and specifically, I finally have a chance to go ahead and ramble for a little bit about my favorite team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have been playing fantastic to start this season. A lot of people, me included, thought that this could be the breakout year for the young core where they go from, oh, they've got a lot of potential, to a team that's both got potential but is actually giving the league a lot of problems, and so far, that's been the case. They've been great on both sides of the ball. The coaching has been phenomenal from Mark Daigneault. The players, everything seems to be coming together, so I'm going to ramble for a bit about them, and of course, we'll also get to the Warriors, the Heat, and the Nets over the course of the video too. But before we get into that, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, and as always, would love to hear some of your takeaways and thoughts down below in the comments. Let's go ahead and kick things off with Thunder versus Warriors. This was a chance for the Thunder to go ahead and get revenge after the Warriors beat them a couple of weeks ago in that amazing in-season tournament game, the one where the Thunder were without Shai Gilgeous Alexander but managed to battle back against the Warriors, bring it all the way to the brink, to the point where Steph Curry again broke my heart as a Thunder fan, hitting another game winner, this time a finger roll layup. It was that one where it was controversial, like did Draymond touch it on the rim or not? We don't need to talk about it again, but this was a chance for the Thunder to go ahead and get revenge, and this time it was going up against the Warriors in Golden State, but they were without Steph Curry, who's currently dealing with an injury, and Draymond Green, who's currently on his Rudy Gobert headlock suspension. So coming into this one, I was hopeful the Thunder would win, and they did exactly that. Now, it wasn't easy by any means. For the first, 18, 19 minutes, the Thunder looked clearly like the better team. They were up big. I think they got the lead to 18 or 19. And then the Warriors fought back in a big way, cutting the lead all the way to, I think, 6 or 7 going into halftime. And throughout the third quarter, they went ahead and I think even tied this one up. At the very least, brought it within a couple of points. But the Thunder all of a sudden had a 3-point barrage, just destroyed the Warriors from the outside over the course of the end of that third quarter into the fourth, eventually getting back up to that double-digit significant lead, winning by 19 points, moving to 8-4 in the season, sitting currently at the 4th spot in the Western Conference. This is their best start to a year since 2013-14. And like I said, it's being done on both sides of the ball. They're the 7th best defense, the 8th best offense in the league, and they're tied for the 4th best net rating with the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have been fantastic up to this point. The Thunder are playing amongst the best teams in the league, and they're doing it as one of the youngest squads in the entire association. It's been a joy to watch. Like I said, I'm a diehard Thunder fan. I consider myself the biggest Thunder fan in the world, and this is what the rebuild has been building to. I hadn't been a fan of a rebuild prior to this because, when the Thunder got here, they were pretty much already on the cusp of getting up to the level that we eventually saw them at with KD, with Russ, with James Harden. It was some really down years over the past few seasons. Last year, we saw a ton of potential with the team just barely missing out on the playoffs, losing their last playing game to Minnesota, and now they're playing like one of the best teams in the world when I thought that could be the case coming into the season. They were a hot pick to go ahead and be a top 6, top 4 team in the West. There were some naysayers, and it's still very early on in the season. I'm not saying it's a guarantee they're going to be in this spot or be one of those top 6 teams when the playoffs do roll around, but so far they've shown that they can compete with anybody. And of course, at the head of the snake is none other than Shai Gilgeous Alexander, who last year went from having never been an All-Star to an All-Star, an All-NBA first-teamer, and a top 5 MVP finisher, where I think he might be able to finish again in this upcoming year's award races. He's been a monster, playing some of the best basketball of his career. This wasn't his best game. Put up 24 points, 2 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block, shooting just 6 of 21 from the field. He really struggled with some of his usual finishes, was taking a lot more threes than we typically see from him. He did hit 3 of 7, so it wasn't a bad percentage necessarily, but it just seemed like a game where he was kind of struggling to find a rhythm, but even still was very effective. He got to the line a good bit like he typically does, one of the league's top drivers, so he goes into contact a bunch. He clamped up defensively. His defense continues to get better and better. His playmaking was great. It has been all season. And he came into tonight on a streak of 5 straight 28-plus point games, all on 55% or better shooting from the field. And on the season, he's putting up 28.8 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 6 assists with a league-leading 2.6 steals per game, which is absurd, while having a 60.6 shooting percentage. He's one of the league's most efficient volume scorers, doing it with high-level defense, better playmaking. There's really not many holes, if any, in Shai Gilgeous Alexander's game. But while Shai's fantastic, he's nowhere near a one-man show. This roster has been set up really well around Shai to give us chances to win on nights like tonight where he doesn't really have a great offensive game. We're still able to get W's, which wasn't really the case over the past year or so. Chet Holmgren has been incredible as a rookie, protecting the rim at a high level, fighting for boards, which we need. The rebounding has been an issue so far. We'll talk about that later. And a lot of times he's deterring players from even attempting to attack inside. When he's standing by the rim, you can see guys second guess themselves saying, oh, do I really want to go up with this? They fumble the ball. It leads to turnovers, extra passes that get them out of the rhythm of their offense. If he's on the perimeter, he's able to hold his own with his length because he can block and alter shots. Chet is a special defensive player, and he's only getting started. He's just a rookie out there, has only played 12 games in his NBA career, and is already this good. He's the anchor of one of the league's top 10 defenses. Meanwhile, offensively, he's been way more polished than I was expecting at this point in his career, putting up 15.5 points per game, 7.8 boards, and 2.6 assists, with, of course, that rim protection, 2.2 blocks, while shooting 53% from the field, 44% from deep, and 91.1% from the line. He's legitimately a 50, 40, 90 caliber player with high-level defense from day one in the league. His ability to attack off the dribble, because his three-point shot is so good, slow-footed bigs will go ahead and try and close out on him quickly, and he'll just drive past them using that surprisingly slick handle. He's got this great turnaround mid-range jumper. He's just really good. And I was one of the biggest fans of Chet. He was my favorite player going into the draft before the Thunder even got him. He has been special so far. There's really not much else to say other than he feels like a future perennial all-star and probably all-NBA player. He's going to be one of the best bigs in the league, and it feels like he's already climbing up those rankings. Alongside those guys, there's another burgeoning star in OKC in Jalen Williams, who I firmly believe has all the all-star potential in the world. When I watch him play, it almost feels like I'm watching a more physical Shai Light type of player out there with the play style where he's got this smooth mid-range jumper. He's got these finishes where he uses all of his length. He's physical. He fights through contact, can knock down shots from the outside, pull up jumpers. It doesn't matter. J-Dub is able to knock down a shot from wherever, and he's also playing a lot of great defense alongside that, using that same length and physicality that has got him his ability to really attack inside at will. In this game, he put up 16 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals on just under 50% shooting. He is a special player. His stats don't jump off the page, but when you watch J-Dub play, I think it's pretty clear that he's a star in the making. Just really a matter of time with him. You've also got Josh Giddey, who's had a slow start to the season, but has put together a couple of really nice games over the past 2. He put up 19 points, 6 boards, and 1 assist in this one while shooting 3 of 3 from deep. Feels like he's still trying to find his footing this season. He started slow last year, so I'm not overly concerned. The passing has still been great, a lot of great out-of-bounds plays, one of the best out-of-bounds passers in the league. He continues to learn how to use his much bigger frame than most guards to get him offensive advantages. He has that little push shot that he likes to go to that he knocks down at a solid clip. Really, for me, it's just Josh needs to get better at fighting through physicality, getting to the line, because that is the next evolution in his game. And if he can manage to do that while getting the three-point shot up a little bit, he is going to be incredibly special as well. Then surrounding these guys, you've got a great cast of young, versatile offensive and defensive weapons. Shooting has been one of the Thunder's biggest strengths so far this season. They're actually number 1 in the NBA at this point in three-point percentage, which didn't feel possible last season. And having shooters like this is so big for guys like Shai, Giddey, Jalen Williams, who love to attack inside. Chet being a big that can space the floor, bring him into the lineup this year, it's huge for this team. You've got shooters like Isaiah Joe, who in this game hit 7 of 7 three-point attempts, setting a Oklahoma City franchise record for the most threes in a game without a miss. He is a lethal option out there, one of the league's best shooters, and I swear if the NBA doesn't put him in the three-point contest this time, I'm gonna lose it. Cason Wallace has been incredible as a top 10 pick for us. Defensively, he's so poised out there. He's not afraid of any challenge, gets in passing lanes, fights for the ball relentlessly, gets us some second chance opportunities. He's just so good on that defensive end, which is crazy to say for someone who's as young as he is. It feels like he never makes a bad decision either when he's got the ball in his hands, whether he's going up for a shot or he's dishing to someone. His playmaking's been impressive. Oh, and did I mention he's leading the NBA in three-point percentage with 59.1%. That's 5.5% higher than the next best player. Not to mention Lu Dort, who is, as always, playing incredible defense. He had Klay Thompson in the torture chamber tonight. There was really nothing Klay could do. We'll talk about him later. Dort has been fantastic defensively this season, but the big thing has been his offensive improvements. He's been way better finishing around the basket so far this year, and meanwhile he's knocking down 46.3% of his three-point attempts, which I don't expect to stay at that level, but if Dort is anything close to 40% from deep while playing this type of defense, the contract that we have him on right now is an absolute bargain. You also got a guy like Vasilije Micic, who has been playing inconsistent time here and there, but when he plays, he is incredibly effective. He's given us some great playmaking, extra ball handling, and he's also shooting 45.5% from three. It's incredible how much spacing this team actually has. Sam Presti has done a fantastic job of giving our stars guys that can stretch the floor and give them plenty of room to operate inside. Meanwhile, a lot of them are also locking up defensively. Like I said, Cason Wallace has been fantastic on that end. Dort, Chet Holmgren has been fantastic as a first-year big man. Jalen Williams, Shai are both good defenders. Kenrich Williams just returned, and he's a great hustle, physical, defensive type of guy who's given us an immediate boost over these past 2 games. It just feels like almost everybody on this roster can contribute on both sides of the ball effectively. It's such a versatile team. And probably the craziest part is this is still one of the youngest squads in the league. Like, we have not seen anything close to this team's ceiling, of course, going forward. But I think even this year, when I watch these games, it still feels like the Thunder could be executing this system a lot better. And I think as time goes on and they build chemistry, they're going to become even scarier and scarier. And they're already a top 10 team on both sides of the ball. I've got to give a lot of credit to head coach Mark Daigneault, who's gotten these young guys to buy in both offensively and defensively. It's not easy to get a young team to be as good as the Thunder have been so far. It takes way more than talent. It takes a scheme that works, that builds off the strengths of players, and he's put that into place. Really, the only thing that's bothered me a lot about the Thunder so far has been the rebounding. The offensive rebounding is abysmal. We're last in the league in that regard, and we give up so many offensive boards to the opposing teams, which does get frustrating at times, gives them a lot of second chance opportunities. But thankfully, we're locking up for the most part when they do get those boards. It's just not a team with a lot of size. We may need to add some at some point, but for now, it seems to be working because, again, 8-4, top 10 in both categories, 4th in net rating. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for this rant right now. I'm just ecstatic. I can't believe how good we've been so far. I think we keep it rolling over these next few games. And hey, look out for the Thunder as one of those top 6, 5, maybe even 4 seeds in the Western Conference if they keep playing like this. I know it's early. I'm not trying to get too ahead of myself, but at the same time, I gotta be a little bit of a homer. Meanwhile, on the Warriors side, they just can't put together consistent offense without Steph Curry. It's something I said a few days ago when it was announced that Steph would miss some time. They just don't have a lot of shot creators and consistent scores. Wiggins has been really bad all season. He had an all-right game today, probably one of his better games of the season, which isn't great because he still didn't play phenomenal. The defense isn't as good as it was in that championship run. The offense has completely disappeared. He's playing maybe the worst hoops of his entire career so far, even going back to Minnesota. And that piles on the fact that Klay Thompson has been completely ineffective this season. He was given absolute nightmares by the Thunder defense tonight. Shot just 1 of 10 from the field, 5 points, just 13.8 points per game on the season, shooting 40% from the field and 32.9% from deep. It's one of the worst starts to a season I've probably ever seen from Klay Thompson. I still believe he'll bounce back in some way, but there's a real chance that we've seen the best of Klay. And if that's the case, with Wiggins declining and Klay now struggling and the fact that they just really don't have many scores, the Warriors are kind of in trouble. So far this season, there's only been 3 times where a player has scored 20 plus points, and that guy wasn't named Steph Curry. That's Kuminga tonight, who scored 21. He was really good. Podziemski, who scored 23 the other night against the Timberwolves in that big ejection game, and Dario Saric, who also scored 21 in that same matchup. Only 3 instances where a non-Steph Curry Warrior has scored 20 plus points. That's extremely worrying for a team that is supposed to have guys who can do that consistently. With this loss, they fall to 6-7, 1 game below 500, 5-game losing streak. Draymond's out 4 more games. We don't know when Steph Curry's going to come back. Maybe he's back for a rematch again against the Thunder in a couple of days. But if he's not, this team's in a lot of trouble. And it feels like even when Steph comes back, if they can't get anybody scoring consistently, I don't know how they're going to keep up with most of the teams in the NBA offensively. To wrap things up, let's go ahead and move into the second game of the night, which was Heat versus Nets. The Heat win again. They've now won 7 straight games, 8-4 after starting 1-4. 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. The Heat just never say die. They lost Tyler Hero to injury for a little bit, tweaking his ankle after being one of their best players to start the season. Hasn't mattered, mainly because Bam Adebayo has been a monster. I think a full video on Bam and the Miami Heat is probably coming somewhere here soon. He's been incredible, been aggressive, has really taken advantage of what the defense has given him more than ever, and it's led to him having the best season of his career so far. In this one, puts up 20 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, and 2 blocks on 8 of 15 shooting, while battling against Nick Claxton most of the night, one of the league's better defensive bigs. Bam has been incredible. This is the version of Bam that I've been wanting to see, and it still feels like there's a lot more he could do out there. Jimmy Butler has also been on a tear these last few games. I believe this is back-to-back 30 pieces for him. He had 36 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. 12 of 19 shooting, feels like he's currently in playoff form. If they get this form of Jimmy over the course of an entire season, it's a completely different story for the Miami Heat, who I thought would struggle in the regular season, because typically Jimmy Coast, they don't really care too much, but seems like they're deciding to put things together early this year. Duncan Robinson has been fantastic the last few games. He had 26 points tonight. Haywood Highsmith has been fantastic since being inserted into the starting lineup. Really makes a difference with his impactful defense out there. Hasn't been a breakout season when you just take a look at the stats, but if you take a look at the impact, he's been one of the Heat's most important players so far. Jaime Jaquez, to nobody's surprise, is balling. He felt like the most Heat pick ever when they selected him, and he has immediately turned into a great player for them that is contributing on both sides of the ball at a high level. The schedule hasn't been the toughest for them in this win streak, but they're without Tyler Hero. They're a team that many people, I will admit, me included, kind of doubted in this regular season, but so far they've again looked the part of one of the better teams in the East. They just find ways to win. It doesn't matter what's going on. And finally, moving on to the Nets. With this loss, they fall to 6-6 on the season. It's been a fine start to them when you consider them battling some injuries. Mikal Bridges led the way with 23 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists. Hasn't been the MIP type season people were hoping to see from him. He hasn't been his last season form quite yet. I'm still hopeful he'll get to that point, but maybe this is more of the Mikal we're going to see going forward the way that he's played so far this season, which again is still perfectly fine. He's still a really good player, but again, hasn't been the big breakout some people thought we may witness this season. Cam Johnson had 16 points. He had a pretty solid game in this one. Nick Claxton, 16 points, 6 boards, 2 assists on perfect shooting. I want to give a shout to Lonnie Walker, who's been a fantastic bench pickup for them. They got him on a minimum contract. He's been hooping consistently, had 23 points tonight. Just incredible value picking him up on that deal. They've just really kind of been missing Cam Thomas's offense. Ben Simmons, he had been pretty good for them to start the season, and currently we don't know when he's going to return. I believe it's nerve damage that's bugging him. Hopefully he's able to get back soon, because I was enjoying the Ben Simmons we were seeing. It wasn't the all-star Ben of the past, but it was way better than what we saw last year. I just really want to see Ben Simmons healthy for any extended period of time at this point in his career. And yeah, with all that being said, those are my takeaways from these games. Hopefully the Thunder rant wasn't too long. I'm looking at the timestamp now. May have gone a little overboard, but hey, again, finally got the chance to talk about my team. Had to go ahead and talk a lot. For right now, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Like I said earlier, comment down below some of your takeaways. Would love to hear what you all have to say. What do you think about this Thunder team? Do you think they could be a playoff team this year? Could they be one of those top playoff seeds? How far could they go? Is Shai going to be an MVP candidate? Is Chet your rookie of the year? Like, what's the ceiling on a lot of guys on this young core? Would love to hear you guys go ahead and praise my favorite team down below in the comments if you'd like to. Also, your thoughts on the Warriors, the Nets, the Heat, any other takeaways from the NBA so far. And yeah, I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.